Everybody for getting up your Saturday morning to come spend some time with us today to learn about a rather important topic, a topic that we don't get a whole lot of information or CLEs on. I will go ahead and warn you, I'm going to put it out there now, that this presentation may be scary for some of you. That is not the intended purpose. My apologies in advance. The intended purpose is, let's just say, knowledge is power. We want to make sure that when your clients, those litigants come before you, and they say something that sounds totally off the wall, that, okay, well, maybe that does happen. That wasn't some TV show they saw last week. So we're going to kind of go through some stuff that, again, it may sound a little off the wall or it may sound scary, but again, it's not the intended purpose. Now, this class right here should be just as much as a personal class as a professional class. A lot of things we're going to talk about here today affects you and your loved ones, your family members, people you care about the most, not just the clients and litigants we serve. So hopefully it'll take away for all of us from this. So the stuff we're going to talk about today, I'm not going to give you any kind of hypotheticals, no conspiracy theories. We're actually talking about cases I've actually worked and seen, and we'll kind of walk through what it looked like each individual time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started on this. And if you do have any questions down there in the Q&A, feel free to drop your questions down there. I have it open. I'll be monitoring that as well. I know Erin and her team will. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in there and we'll go from there. So the first question I'm going to ask everyone is, why do we care? Why do we care about technology? Why is it something that we need to look at today? Why do we need to worry about this? 99% of all cases today involve some form of technology, whether it be text messages, social media, emails, even e-filings. Everything now is electronic. So every component of our cases has that tech piece. However, when most of us went to school, unless you're a Gen Z or millennial, we learned off of textbooks. We didn't learn off of computers. We didn't have any kind of computer classes. We had typing classes. We had typewriters. I know I did. So technology has been something we have to embrace and we have to learn. Our younger generations today, they were born with iPads in their hands. I mean, that was their babysitter. They turn on YouTube or turn on cartoons on their iPad rather than the TV. So most of us haven't had the exposure that we probably should have or need to have, and that's why we're here. First thing I want to say is technology is not the problem. Again, I mentioned you're going to see some scary things today. Technology is not the problem, however. Technology is a tool. Technology is a tool that allows us to do things more conveniently, including stalking, unfortunately. So as we go through this, let's talk about stalking, for example. Stalking has been around for generations. But as we go through this, you're going to see different technologies that we all use every single day. Technology is a dual-edged sword. It was created for good. A lot of it's being created for good. A lot of conveniences, makes our jobs a lot easier, makes our lives a lot easier. However, if some of these technologies are put out there or used in a bad way, they can be very harmful. We're going to talk about the weaponization of technology, how technology today can manipulate the outcome of your court case, manipulate your witnesses, manipulate your trial, manipulate every aspect, including our personal lives. Talk about the changes of technology. We talked about the youth and the younger generations. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So a couple of years ago now, I had the pleasure of training the Attorney General's office in Florida. We were down in Miami. It was a much longer class, about 8 hours. We came back from lunch, and this young lady, she raised her hand. She's like, "Hey, can I tell you a quick story about my 13-year-old son?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." And I thought it was about cyberbullying and things we see with students today. However, I was wrong. I said, "Well, what's going on?" And she says, "Well, today my 13-year-old son and 2 of his friends, they created an app they're going to sell to iTunes." I'm like, "Wow, pretty cool. That's pretty impressive for our 13-year-old. What does this app do?" "Well, apparently if I can get within 25 feet of you, I can turn off your cell phone." I'm like, let me put my police hat back on for a second. How many of you actually have a landline house phone in your home? I mean, be proud if you do, but most of us do not. We are a cell phone dependent society. So imagine if these 13-year-old kids who are trying to play pranks on their friends release a technology that allows me to get within 25 feet of you, turn off your cell phone, and take away your ability to call emergency services or 911 before I do a home invasion, a sexual assault, or a multitude of crimes. How empowering is that for a bad guy? These are just kids just having fun, just playing pranks. But they don't have the capacity to understand the real world implications a technology like that would bring and cause harm to all of us. That's what we're talking about here today. One of the things I hear a lot when talking to professionals and to students is, you know what, I'm pretty tech savvy. Bad things usually don't happen to me. You know, I have biometrics, I have passwords, I'm pretty good. This is good info. I'll take it back to my team back in the office. That's great. That's a great false sense of security. And the reason why I say it's false sense of security, and it's not just me, it's Cornell Tech, it's Pew Research. It says that 1 out of 3 of us, me included, will be a victim of online crime in the next 3 to 5 years, if you haven't already been. Now, they didn't say the crime is going to be because we don't know. This could be a financial exploitation. This could be ransomware, simple malware. This could be a number of things we see today. Doxing, we're going to talk about doxing. We see that in the media almost every day today. So they're going to say I'm going to be a victim of online crime, but they didn't say what it is. Almost every case again today involves some form of technology. This is a case from our northern partners up there in Ontario. I'm not going to deep dive into the case, but what I do want to talk about is what the judge or the justice in this case said about technology and said about this case in particular. This from Justice Heather McGee. And she said that text messages, emails, and social media postings have become leading sources of evidence across a wide array of criminal, civil, and family disputes. Judges have before them the actual words and deeds of the parties written or posted in the party's own hand. Or do they? In an era of fake news, it should come as no surprise that from time to time, courts will be presented with fake evidence. Accessible technology has made it easier than ever to generate or alter phone calls, text, emails, even social media accounts, photographs, expert reports that manner disguises their origin, fakes, or spoofs their intended purpose. Folks, that's exactly what we're talking about here today. How these technologies, free technologies, can make us all vulnerable, or they can manipulate the outcomes of our cases. When we talk about technology, we talk about these offenders, these bad actors, and people that are trying to manipulate the outcomes. One thing you have to understand, these are not computer science people. These are not IT professionals. These are not Best Buy Geek Squad members. Anybody can be a stalker very, very quickly. Unfortunately, there's thousands of YouTube videos on there on how to do it step by step and how to evade law enforcement. You can simply Google, how do I stalk my partner? And you'll be amazed at what pops up. There's websites like Reddit, for example. Reddit is a series of news groups where people talk about different things back and forth, different topics. I get a lot of information from Reddit. I'll go to the top search bar and I'll type in domestic violence. And you'll be amazed at the conversations that people are having. Hey, I got arrested for this. How do I get these charges dropped against me? When you'll see people actually empower each other, say, hey, this worked in my case, maybe you can do it in your case. So again, these are not IT professionals or computer people. These are just everyday people that have a keyboard and a computer. One of the biggest reasons why we're exposed so much is this thing called IoTs, the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is something that if you have a device today that hooks up to Wi-Fi or to Bluetooth, that is an IoT. Smart cars, refrigerators, your Ring doorbells, your tennis shoes, your gaming consoles, your vacuum cleaner. Yes, even those little Roomba vacuum cleaners, they connect to your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. All of these devices have what's called electronically stored information, ESI. ESI is not a new term. And I know one of my colleagues, Kevin Mooney, and his partner, they do a great training on ESI. This is, again, a legally adopted term in 2006. It's nothing new, but it's something that we find that a lot of people still don't understand or don't realize the potential of these type of devices or the information these type of devices can give us. Also, don't get hung up on, well, this is a civil case. You understand that it's not just one device or one form of technology. It could be a multiple forms of technology that give us the information that we need. Here's an example. So these little accessible watches, these smart watches, these Fitbits, these Apple Watches, Garmin's, there's all kinds of different devices out there today. Here's a Fitbit. Fitbit shows you all kinds of personal things about you or could potentially store things about you. Mobile tracking, daily activities, your sleep tracking. Here's all your GPS locations. You went for a run that day, or could be just your real-time locations, your active GPS, all kinds of fun stuff. Did you know forensically, when I look into your devices, talk about that ESI, I can actually tell when you actually broke up in your relationship, when you had a bad day, a breakup relationship. I can tell you when you got scared, all done by your heart rates, startled. This was one case that we're involved in that this was a young lady, she was a runner. She went running through the park one day and she stopped at the restroom to use the bathroom. There's a guy hiding in there attempting to do a sexual assault on her. Her garment, her watch recorded the whole assault. So we were able to take this electronically stored information and use it in this case. Yes, these are criminal cases. However, we're going to talk more about the family and the civil components of these cases. Juvenile, dependency, probate, all these cases have technology in them. Again, electronically stored information was legally defined in 2006. This is information that basically is on a tech. This could be metadata in an electronic document. This could be, recordings from your Ring doorbell, GPS, digital cameras, exit data, all kinds of fun tools and toys that we have access to, but now we can use these court cases. When it comes to family law, especially, one thing that people ask me all the time, what's the best way to get this type of evidence? Yes, you can do a subpoena, and subpoenas sometimes are, especially with a tech company like social media, I will tell you, they will play games with you. They will notify the users and give them an opportunity to delete stuff, or they won't, well, we don't have that information, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to family cases, we found that basically the best way, the fastest way is quickly through discovery. Just get it as fast as you possibly can. And the reason why you want to get as fast as you can is because of what's called FIFO memory. FIFO memory is first in, first out. A lot of these tech devices may have limited storage capacity, limited memory inside the device. Let's talk about your phone, for example. So if your phone has 128 gigs of memory on it, there's a very good chance I'm gonna get a lot of information out of your device, out of your phone. If you only have like 8 gigs of memory in your phone, what happens is when your phone fills up, your memory fills up, it starts overwriting the information as it goes to fill up even more. So we may or may not be able to get the evidence we need. Time is of the essence in some of these cases. Not always. Forensically, we still can recover it. But as a whole, or as just an appearance of discovery, them bringing it to you, they may not be able to access it. You might need an expert like myself in order to get access to that information. But we're talking about becoming a victim. I guess 1 out of 3 of us will be a victim of this. We're not talking about apps or viruses or whatnot. What are we talking about here? We're talking about social engineering, hacking people. I can tell you, I work with some of the most brilliant people in the world, the FBI, and even they will tell you it is very, very difficult to hack a computer today, but it's very easy to hack a person. I guarantee you, some of you park in the same parking space every single day. You go to the same coffee shop, the same grocery store, patterns of habits. By now, most of us have had multiple tech devices, many Wi-Fi routers, many cell phones, many different, smart TVs and things. So what happens is a population as a whole, we get complacent. You know what? I've had 100 Wi-Fi routers. I'll go buy a new one. I'll hook it up tomorrow. Those books that come with those devices, we know that people don't read those today. We know that because we get access to your accounts and get access to your networks very, very easily. Let's talk about your Wi-Fi router. Let's say today, after this webinar, hopefully after the webinar, not during, your Wi-Fi router goes out. And you have to go down to the store, Walmart, Best Buy, wherever, and buy a new Wi-Fi router. You go to the shelf, you buy a new Wi-Fi router, you go home, you plug it into your network cable. The computer tells you type in 192.168.1.1. The username is admin, and the password is either password or it's blank. And then you get access to your whole network, the Ring doorbells, your smart TVs, your phones, your tablets on that network. Guess what? That Wi-Fi router is sold to millions of people around the world with the same exact information, 192.168.1.1, admin and password. That book that you get, the very first page tells you, if you don't change this information, I can get keys to your kingdom. I get access to you. Maybe you work at home. Maybe I get access to your confidential privileged files. Maybe a mental health professional. Now we got HIPAA violations of medical information possibly. So we become vulnerable in many ways that we don't realize, but it's all done through the social engineering piece of that. We hack people. One of the best ways to get access to somebody, if I want to get access to your files, I want to get access to the courts, the clerks, it doesn't matter. There are many, many courthouses across the country today that are being hit with ransomware and shutting down the whole clerks, basically shut down the whole courthouse. If you don't pay us this amount of money, we're going to get, shut down all your files, you won't be able to operate. So they're forced to pay millions of dollars in these ransoms to these bad actors and bad guys. We all heard about the gas pipeline last year that got shut down the East Coast, all for a ransom. And this is how they do it. I'm going to send an email or a text message with a link in it to you, and I'm going to trick you into opening it. It's called clickbait. So if you look at the left-hand side here, this is from Chase. This is the email that I received from Chase Bank. It says that my account has been suspended due to recent activities. Kindly revalidate my details. Well, guess what, folks? I don't have a Chase account. I don't have a Chase credit card. So when I started looking at this email, what I did is I went to the sender's information, and all it said was JP Chase. I can put in anybody's name I want to up here. But when I clicked on JP Chase, when I clicked on that name, I see that it came from mkitchenwall at microthermics.com. That is not Chase Bank. That is not JP Chase at all. But if I clicked on revalidate details, that would basically expose me to allow him to install remote desktop software to my computer or my device, or install malware or virus to my device or computer. On the right-hand side of your screen, there's a text message I received on Mother's Day from AT&T. Send your mom free flowers. Click here. Who wouldn't want to do that? Again, this is trickery. This is clickbait, asking people to do this. These emails and these text messages go out hundreds of times a day. One of the biggest ones today affecting the legal community, especially the family law community, the legal community, is what's called the DocuSign scam. And I'm quite confident the number of people that are on this webinar today, one of you have seen this already. Hopefully you didn't fall for it, or maybe you did and your antivirus program kicked in. Because of the pandemic, or because of just the convenience of being online today, let's just say the dockets, for example. All dockets are public record. I can go to the courthouse, log in, see the court docket today, the case number, the parties involved, the representation, whoever. And then I put together this fake email, this fake DocuSign, put in the court case number, put in the parties' names, whatever I put in there, and I send it to your law firm, or I send it to the courthouse. Here are the requested documents in this case, or here's the invoice in this case. I'm not going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to your assistant or another employee that's not directly associated with that case, because they're going to open it and want to get that information to you. So they're going to download it or print it off or whatever it may be. So you click on review document. Once you click on review document, it does just that. It installs a virus or remote desktop software to your computer. Then now they have access to your confidential computer client files or get access to your network. Anytime you get an email from anybody, and I don't care if it's from your best friend, your daughter, your loved ones, whoever, and it's got a link in it, click on the person's name. Just go up there and hover over or click on the person's name and make sure that email address is from that person. Make sure it's from FedEx.com or from UPS or the courts or whatever it may be, and it's not from some malicious person. Let's just say that you do get an email from a loved one, and we know those type of people that, oh, it just drives me crazy. I have to open this. I have to click this link. I have to meet my friend. They're on vacation. They might be in trouble. I got to click this link. How can we do it safely? There's a website that I've used for a while now. It's called virustotal.com. What this does is if you get that malicious email, you can actually take the actual attachment or the link, and you can drag and drop it or cut and paste it into this website right here. And what it'll do is it'll take that information and run it against 38 known antivirus programs around the world to make sure that it's not malicious or harmful. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be malicious or harmful. But it's a good way for you to have a peace of mind knowing that, okay, I'm going to open this and know that we're okay, protected. So let's have a fun conversation about stalking. More importantly, cyber stalking. Cyber stalking is nothing new. Cyber stalking actually first came up in California in 1998. These laws actually started hitting the books throughout the whole country, late 90s, early 2000s. Stalking again has been around for generations. This, what you see here, this definition is actually a series of many states across the country put into one paragraph because they all say the same exact thing. Engage in a course of conduct to communicate or cause to be communicated, words, images, or language by through the use of electronic mail or electronic communication directed at a specific person causing substantial emotional distress. Define that for me, because that's different for all of us. I hate spiders. You may love spiders. They cause me substantial emotional distress. But we know that when a victim or survivor or your client goes to law enforcement to report being stalked, the very first question always asked is, what did they threaten you? They're going to threaten to cause harm to you? Well, guess what? They don't have to. If they have to make threats or cause harm to you, it enhances the penalty. Yeah, on a surface level, this is basically misdemeanor. It's not pretty, it's not sexy, but it gives us a criminal component to our now civil case. So if I want to do a search warrant, if I want to do a subpoena or a different type of legal process, I now have that ability to help my client further in these type of cases. Here's the California Penal Code. It's the same thing. Any person who willfully, maliciously, repeatedly follows or willfully, maliciously harasses another person and who makes a credible threat to the intent of the person is reasonable fear of his or her safety. So same exact thing that you have there. When we talk about DV, family violence cases, domestic violence cases, this is from the National Stalking Resource Center out of Washington, D.C. They say that 66% of females and 41% of males are stalked by a current or former intimate partner. On the surface, that's actually pretty accurate. It's pretty okay information. However, we hope that next time these things are reported, they're going to look a little different. And the reason why I say that is because today, because of our online presence, we're all exposed in different ways to these type of cyber stalking events. Let's just say you may be online dating. You have social media. You have a website with meet our staff, meet our partners. And there's your pretty picture there and all your bio telling everything about you, in that website. I can become fixated on you for a number of reasons. I like Erin's hair. I like her glasses. I like her smile. And now we've never been intimate, never had a relationship, but now I'm going to start stalking Erin. I'm really not going to do that, but you know what I'm saying. But that's saying I can become fixated for different reasons. So hopefully it's going to be kind of reported differently. We talked about DV and intimate partner violence. They say that 1 out of 4 victims report being stalked through some form of technology. Well, why is it only 1 out of 4? We said that technology is pretty much everywhere. Well, this is something I wish we were actually a person for because I'd show you very quickly. I'd be able to take somebody's information from the audience. I don't know any of you. I don't know your phone numbers, don't know your first or last names, but I'd be able to take your information from your phone and throw it up on the PowerPoint screen right there in person. The reason that the whole point of this is you're not going to know what's actually happening. You're not going to see an app on your phone, a little icon. You're not going to see any kind of information on your phone. It's all going to be done within a remote setting within 25 feet. If I get within 25 feet of you, I can do just that. I'm going to show you some softwares later where people do just that. I personally would not do that to you. I would not personally expose anybody because we know there's a lot of personal information on phones today. But we also know that bad guys don't have ethics or morals and they can care less. They want to be able to get access to an individual. Another thing we see is GPS. They say that only 10% of victims report being stalked through GPS. Well, why is it only 10%? Again, GPS is everywhere. It's in our running shoes, it's in our watches, it's in our cars, it's in pretty much everything. Say dog collars have GPS today. One of the things we have to realize and remember, especially in safety planning with our clients and litigants, is our cars today are mobile computers. There's all kinds of softwares and gadgets and gizmos that allow for convenience, to be able to drive around and get locations or whatnot. One of the things that we knew about it before the pandemic, but it really kind of brought light. The pandemic really brought light to the used car industry. Now, the reason why I say the used car industry is because if you would try to buy a new vehicle today, there was no new vehicles to be found because of all these microchips and all this different supply chain issues. You couldn't find a new vehicle. So the used car market went through the roof. I mean, a car that you bought 5 years ago is worth more today than it was 5 years ago. It just became this really, really madhouse type of situation. Well, when you're going through a divorce, you may have financial issues, or you're going through a family violence case, you may not be able to go to Chevrolet or Honda and finance a vehicle through, the Chase Bank or Bank of America or some financial institution. So a lot of these victims and survivors are being forced to these little mom and pop car lots, these buy here, pay here car lots. Bob's Auto Mart. They're not going to the Chevy dealership, they're going to Bob's Auto Mart. Because again, all you can find is used cars. So let's talk about that for a second. Did you know that 98% of buy here, pay here car lots, these small mom and pop car lots, they install GPS trackers on their vehicles? It costs them about $20 per unit. It's cost of doing business. And they tell you in your contract that they actually install this GPS tracker on your vehicle. And the reason why is because when you default on that buy here, pay here loan, I don't want to pay a repo man commissions to be able to drive around in the middle of the night to try to find that vehicle that you're now hiding from me at your friend's house, your mom's house, wherever. I simply want to walk into my office and go, with a 2 feet of accuracy, go pick that vehicle up myself. Well, this is a case I actually worked down in South Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, to be exact. The gentleman went to jail for beating up his girlfriend on her birthday. Great guy. And we don't know if he learned this before he went to jail or learned some kind of cellmate inside jail. But as soon as he got released, he didn't go immediately try to find his girlfriend. What he did is he went to where they bought their vehicle from. We'll call it Bob's Auto Mart. He walked in this elaborate story. Hey, Bob, I got really drunk last night. I have no idea where I parked my car. I mean, here's the bracelet from the jail. You got arrested for it. I remember you telling me there's a GPS tracker on our cars. Here's $40. You tell me where I parked my car at. Bob walks into his office and comes out with a confidential address of the domestic violence shelter in West Palm Beach, Florida, where he then went there to kill her. It was a 12-hour law enforcement standoff, all because of the kind of vehicle she drove. We have to safety plan around multiple things, not just our cell phones, our email accounts, and things we think about, all types of things today. These are all technologies we use every single day. We use them, our loved ones use them, our clients use them. Bad guys also use them as well. All these things you see here can be used and manipulated against all of us. Even cameras. I'm going to show you later how a $20 camera from Walmart can cause you serious harm. Just like your cell phone or even your $1,200 fancy camera, not just your cell phones. I have a question. We're going to talk about Apple AirTags in a little bit later. So thank you for that question. But yes, we are going to get to Apple AirTags and the whole fun stuff of GPS. So thank you for that. But yeah, keep the questions coming in. So first, what we're going to talk about is Bluetooth. So the reason why we're going to talk about Bluetooth is because we all have it. Every single one of us have Bluetooth. It operates on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency. There's no cables or connectors. I can go anywhere in the world and it works flawlessly. I want to have a headset, a speaker by the pool, a number of things. My watch connects to Bluetooth. Very, very convenient. This is something again, if we were all in person, we could actually play along and do this game. So let's just say that your client comes to you and says, you know what, Stephen, unless they're standing right there in front of me, there's no way possibly they can know this information. It's like they're listening to me. Okay, well, let's talk about Bluetooth. What is the universal password to Bluetooth? 000 or 1234. Now, I know some of you are like, wait a minute, hold off. Just roll with this for a second. So the universal password of Bluetooth is 000 or 1234, unless you have a newer device. So there used to be a TV show on a couple of years ago called Persons of Interest, where I can walk up behind you, I can hit some buttons on my phone, and be able to listen to and monitor your phone conversations, just like that headset, or just like those Apple AirPods you put in your ears, and listen to your phone conversations. There's over 1,000 videos to date I know of on YouTube that talks about this process called bluejacking, where you're actually going to hijack someone's Bluetooth to be able to listen to and monitor their phone calls, or possibly monitor the locations or install malicious software. Now, some of you said, okay, wait a minute, that's not so anymore. And that's why I said a newer device. Once the tech industry got a hold of these videos and people telling people how to make us all vulnerable, the tech industry stepped up. So Apple, Google, all the major players said, you know what? We're very aware of bluejacking, so we have to change the whole Bluetooth. We now have to encrypt your Bluetooth. So if you have a newer device, I think it started around the iPhone 11 era, the Galaxy 9s. If you have a newer device, your Bluetooth is now encrypted. Instead of being 000 or 1234, it's gonna be some random 5-digit character, 54321, whatever it may be. You have to accept that pairing. Folks, I've done this for a long time now. I literally travel the world talking and training attorneys, lawyers, military, law enforcement, advocates. I've been to a lot of advocacy centers. I don't know of one center across the country today that gives away iPhone 14s or iPhone 12s even, or even iPhone 11s. They're old donated phones, old 4s and 5s and 6s, or they're prepaid phones. You go down to the Circle K or the 7-Eleven and buy a prepaid phone, the Target. Those type of devices do not have the encryption technology that we have in our phones today. So let's just say that I get in 25 feet of my girlfriend and I type in 000 or 1234 because I know she's got a little prepaid phone. I now can monitor and listen to her phone calls. But she's like, come on, Steve, that's 25 feet. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. For $100, I can go online right now and buy this little gem that extends that 25 feet to 28 miles. Imagine what I can do in 25 feet. Now imagine what I'm doing in 28 miles. This is actually a funny thing, or not really a funny thing, but this is something that actually personally happened to me with Bluetooth. So I had the pleasure, January 2020, just before the pandemic, I had the pleasure of actually co-presenting with a judge or a justice in Toronto. As we're going through the presentation and we're talking about Bluetooth, she gets this like panic look on her face and actually kind of turned pale. I'm like, whoa, are you okay? What's going on? She says, I got to tell you what happened to me. I'm like, okay, what happened? The week prior to our meeting, she had a sexual assault trial of a child. And part of the trial was she would take the child to her chambers for out-of-court testimony. They didn't want the child testifying inside court. Well, while the trial was going on, her phone was on the bench. Though she monitored time and whatnot, her phone was just on the bench. What she noticed was her Bluetooth kept popping up. Ironically, she thought because she recently bought a new vehicle, that her vehicle in the parking garage was too close to the courthouse, and it was her vehicle that was actually doing that. She didn't realize that a remote person inside her courtroom could actually try to attempt to activate her Bluetooth to be able to listen to those out-of-court statements in her chambers. Folks, if a judge can be blue-jacked on the bench, this can happen to any of us. But again, the industry, they're trying to help with us. The Googles, everybody else, the Apples are trying to help. Every time they come up with a way to help us or keep us safe, the bad guys come up with a way to make us vulnerable. This is an example of what I mean. Every year in Las Vegas, there's a convention called DEF CON. DEF CON is a hackers convention where 8,000 to 10,000 hackers from around the world come together to learn how to victimize all of us, how to play games with all of us. This is what was actually a door prize in 2019, where they were giving these away, but now you can buy them on Walmart.com for $49. This is called a BTLE sniffer. BTLE is Bluetooth low bit frequency or low energy. So let's talk about accessible devices. My watch. So I have a Garmin watch here. My Garmin watch connects and talks to my phone every 5 to 7 seconds, whether I want it to or not. Let's update the weather, update the time, unless it's a push notification. It means I get a text message, I get a phone call, it's going to instantly notify me. What this device you're seeing on your screen is designed to do, it's designed to capture the communication between my watch and my phone. Because of the encryption, I can no longer pair with my phone, but I still want to know what you're talking about, what you're doing. So which means if we're all in a room together, I can sit in the back corner, I can plug this into my computer, and I can watch you text the person next to you. Hey, where do you want to go lunch today? This guy's horrible. It's okay, I get it, scary stuff. But we get to see the MAC address, the manufacturer of the device you use, not the right side, all your communication. It's no different than a Radio Shack scanner that our grandparents and our parents had growing up. They had some of the kitchen counters they could listen to the police and fire rescue and all that fun stuff. You'll see what's going on in a small town. That's what this thing operates. It pulls the 2.4 gigahertz frequency out of the air to be able to monitor. Now think about Starbucks. Think about these places we go to do some work or just have a coffee and a snack. You see a little guy or girl in the corner back there just hacking away at or just banging away at a laptop or a computer. We're assuming maybe they're working on client files, homework. We have no idea. We're going to talk later about public Wi-Fi and how public Wi-Fi is very similar to Bluetooth, and I can do what's called a man-in-the-middle attack. And I actually can become Starbucks Wi-Fi. If I'm in Starbucks or on any kind of public Wi-Fi, I can become their Wi-Fi. And everything that you do online, I get to see because it all passes right through my computer before it does anything else. That's how we become victimized and vulnerable. I'm going to tell you how to protect yourself and be able to work in a public Wi-Fi establishment and know that all your client files are safe and secure. It's called a VPN, virtual private network. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. So how do we stay safe? How do we stay safe from Bluetooth? Again, this is a low-level conversation. Bluetooth is very, very entry-level stalking, but because we all have it, the possibility is there. If your client again comes to you and says, okay, there's no way possibly they know this information. Okay, let's look at your Bluetooth. All you have to do is go to your client's phone or even your phone, go to Bluetooth, and then basically just look at everything your phone's ever been connected to. It'll be right there listed underneath your Bluetooth. If you're working with Jane, and you see Jim's iPhone connected to Jane's iPhone, that's a clue. You want to screenshot that for evidence purposes and then delete the connection from Jim so Jim can no longer listen to Jane's iPhone. Question I have in the question box is, can you be bluejacked if your phone is off? We're going to talk about that in a minute with spyware, but just know this. When your phone is off, your phone is not really off. Your phone is actually still running in queue mode. If you don't believe me, tonight, go ahead and fully charge your phone, turn your phone off and throw it in a drawer. Come back in 3 days and turn your phone back on. Your battery is going to be used up quite a bit, if not already almost dead. You need to be charged again. Your phone runs in queue mode, it's constantly running in the background. If you put your phone in airplane mode and then turn it off, I can come back a year later, my phone's still fully charged. We're going to talk more about that in depth in just a little bit. You can simply just turn your Bluetooth off. I don't turn my Bluetooth off. Most of our phone settings today, even if you turn it off, it will turn itself back on within 12 to 24 hours. That's how a lot of our devices work today. That's how a lot of stores and retailers work today. Every time that you download an app to your phone, say like the Target card or whatever, all that verbiage that pops up that nobody reads, they say accept because they want the Target app. All that verbiage says is you're giving me access to certain parts of your phone, including your Bluetooth, to be able to get certain information off of you, to data mine you. I leave my Bluetooth turned on. That's how my watch works with my phone, but nobody's stalking me that I know of. Again, if somebody is talking about, your client's talking about, they listen to my conversations, we can start here. It's a great place to start. Look at their settings, look at their Bluetooth. I'm going to show you a much better way in just a second. One of the things we saw in the opening with Justice McGee was a word called spoof or spoofing. Spoof means to change. And there are several programs out there today that allow me to change all kinds of information. I can change caller IDs. I can change my voice from male to female. I can add background noises like barking dogs, a sporting event, a nightclub, whatever I want to do to further help mask my voice. And then I can call you. I can call my grandson. Pose as a bad guy, call my grandson. Hey, granddad, I got a flat tire on the way to school today. I have no money. Can I get your credit card number and pay this tow truck driver? Well, granddad's gonna look down his phone. It's gonna be his grandson's name and phone number there. So it's like, okay, well, sure. We'll settle up later. Here's my credit card. And now by the time the afternoon's over, grandpa's credit card's been drained. They have no idea why. Because these bad actors are getting their personal information off websites and be able to call them and pose as their loved ones. Some of these programs, and there's hundreds of these programs out there, some of these programs can kind of tend to sound a little, let's just say computerish or robotic. Some of them sound a lot better than others. You kind of know what you need to do. But with other technologies that we have available, we can make this much, much better. Which means is I can actually clone your voice. So there's websites I can go to. One I know off the top of my head is called SpyDialer. SpyDialer.com allows me to put in your phone number and I can listen to your voicemail over and over again. You'll never know I'm doing it. I can also record your voicemail and you actually talking. I put it into this program here. Now that anything that comes out of my mouth becomes you. It's your speech, it's your idiolect, it's your dialect, it's your southern drawl like me, all sounds just like you. Think about trying to talk to someone on the phone, or maybe even one of the things we're not going to talk about today is like a deep fake technology, where I can actually take your face and replace my face with your face and do a Zoom meeting. Think about these Zoom hearings or these Zoom mediations, evidentiary hearings, all done through Zoom today, but I can make your face a filter and I can become you. I know we've all seen that famous cat video Your Honor, I'm not a cat. I'm really not a cat. All that is a filter. But instead of being basically a cat on his face, I can make one of your faces that cat and be one of you. That's called deepfake technology. So these programs are out there that we have to get a better grasp and understanding how it can be used to manipulate. So going back to spoof calling, let's just say that we have a case where both co-parties are going back and forth about these harmful messages. Your Honor, I have 14 messages from this person, text messages, phone calls, saying I want to drop charges, I'll give you custody, whatever it may be. The other person standing in court saying, Your Honor, I never said that. We have a no contact order. I would never violate that order and contact them. So how do you tell who's telling the truth? Yeah, both people are offering their phones as evidence. We know people can delete stuff off their phones, but both people are offering their phones as evidence. How can we prove that? How can we help these clients or kind of, nail down these cases? When it comes to communication, this is where OFW actually is a really good tool. But we'll get to that later. This is what I do. I always have cases involving spoof calling. I actually ask, okay, both of you are adamant this happened, didn't happen. Bring me your cell phone bills or log into them right there in the courthouse. Doesn't matter. There's always going to be a data transfer point. Remember that ESI, the metadata stuff we talked about? There's always going to be an incoming and outgoing call, date and time stamped. So if this person over here with the 14 incoming calls shows on their bill 14 incoming calls from this person, but this person has no outgoing calls to that person, that's a clue. They should match up identically. Now, the person that does not have outgoing calls to this person has outgoing calls the same date and time to a different phone number, that's going to be to a spoofing company. We want to do legal process on that phone number to find out who the person actually is. But if this person has no outgoing calls at all at that date and time, what we want to do is go back to the person that has the 14 and look at one phone number above those 14. And we want to do process on that number, find out more about that number. The way this works is, if I was to call you, my phone would call a third-party company in Las Vegas or California and change all the data, and then your phone and your phone bill actually believes that person's calling you. If you were simply just hang up the phone and call the person back, the real person's phone would actually ring, not the bad guy or the bad actor. So we have this documentation for this. Text messages are no different. I'm saying iMessage. I don't get the phone number, but I get the data transfer point, the data transfer. So again, if you have 14 incoming text messages and this person has none, no data transfer points, we're going to be able to see that through these messages. When we talk about text messages, there's a new fun little tool that just came out. It's called text editing. So iOS 16 just came out, it's only been out for a few weeks now. They thought it'd be a great idea to allow us now to edit our text messages. And probably in some cases, yeah, it's probably a good idea because we've all, sent a wrong message or, words are different, it's auto-corrected, whatever. You're like, that's not what I meant to send. So in those cases, okay. But situations of conflict or DV or, contentious things in general, talking about gaslighting, oh my goodness, this is what it allows me to do. So if I send a text message to you, you're a horrible piece of crap. I have up to 2 minutes to actually fully delete that message. Take it away. If I send you a message and 2 minutes expires, I have up to 15 minutes to actually edit that message to you're a piece of crap to what time are you picking up Johnny for baseball today? All sweet and lovey. This is how it works. So when you send a message, after you send it, you're like, oh, I didn't mean to send that, or I want to change that. You actually hold your finger down and you long press on the message you want to change or edit. You have 15 minutes to do this now, or you have 2 minutes to delete it fully. Once you hold press it down, you're going to get a box going to pop up like you see on your screen there. Reply, undo send, edit, copy, translate, and more. You click on edit, and once you click on edit, you can then change the message to wherever you want to change it to. And then you get a blue check mark when you're done and you send it again. And that's going to be the new message. I know your clients bring you, or even the litigants bring you, stacks and stacks of text messages. Here you go. Here's all the communication. This is where they were mean to me. This is what they said to me. You actually have to be diligent now and look for small words, be very, very small print. And sometimes I've seen cases where it be print at all. It'll just be a dot there. They'll say delivered and a dot. But look for the word edited on these messages now. because that means the message is going to be changed. So if you get something like that, you can take that printout copy and you can throw it in the garbage. Doesn't matter. Because you actually have to get the phone, the device back. Because if you get the device back, you can actually long press on where it says edited, and it'll show you the original message as it was sent after this 15 minutes expired. So again, there's printouts where it says edited, you can say, okay, that's great. Now bring me your phone. I want to see what the real message actually was. If you have a device that has not been updated yet, or you're texting somebody that has an Android device that is not iOS, this is what you see. So you can still edit, you can still change it from an iOS standpoint. So if I have an iOS and I'm sending it to Aaron, and Aaron has an Android phone, I can go and I can edit that message still because I have the capability on my phone. But what she's going to see on her phone is actually two messages. So you see there, this is a test. Then I'll say edited to, this is a test of the new messages. So actually say edited to actually in the text verbiage. Much better for us because we don't need the device for the phone because we can actually see both messages there. So just be aware that this stuff is actually happening and we're able to edit and change these things now. So go back to some questions real quick before I move on. How come X's that are blocked on calling and text can still leave voicemails in text? So we're going to kind of jump into that in a minute. There's programs out there that will still allow me to do that. Even if you block someone's number, what it does is it still, in some cases, in some phones and updates, what it does is when you block it, your phone just doesn't ring. That's all it does. It sends it to voicemail. In text messages, it should be blocking the text messages, but most programs, most updates only block the ability to call, and basically just your phone doesn't ring. It just automatically goes to voicemail. But we're going to kind of deep dive in that just a little bit more. Another sponsor question is about Google Voice. Google Voice is also another great tool to keep people safe. And if you're not familiar with Google Voice allows me to keep my actual phone number safe. So let's just say that the party is constantly getting my new phone number and they're calling, harassing me, sending me text messages. I'm tired of going to my kid's school and updating the information, a doctor's office. So how do I keep a phone number and keep my information private without my co-party knowing? That's where Google Voice comes in. Google Voice is a free software. It's like a Gmail account. You log into Google Voice, sign for a free phone number, and that phone number will then forward to your actual phone. So the number that you give out will be the Google Voice number. If you use a companion program called Google Hangouts actually makes your phone two separate phones. So all your personal private stuff will be on your actual phone number, but all of your text messages, all your voicemails from your Google Voice number will stay in Google Hangouts. So it is a good alternative for people that are trying to stay safe and private. We're going to talk later about texting options or messaging options for your clients. Google Voice is the best way to do one of the programs. We'll talk about that. So it says in prior versions of iOS, could you delete messages? Is there a way to discover that? Yes and no. So yes, you can always delete a text message. You can always do that. So experts like myself, private investigators, law enforcement, we have access to software and tools that we can actually do a forensic review of the device itself. And yes, I can recover all your deleted text messages very, very quickly, very, very easily. It takes less than an hour to do and pull back every single message you've had in that phone for the day you brought it home. There's software to do it for you or for your clients. There's no way to like long press on it and pull it back that way. But forensically, yes, just know that we can pull them back. Only way that you can pull them back from your client or with your client, or your client can do it themselves, is if they did an iOS backup. If they did an iOS backup to the cloud from their messages, we may still find the message in the cloud on a previous backup, not on the current phone itself. But on the phone itself, we know, we've been told, nothing ever deletes off your phone. And that's an accurate statement. We can pull them back all day long. Great questions. Keep them coming in. So next thing we're talk about ESI, metadata, all this fun stuff, is email headers. Again, these oftentimes these divorce cases, these cases we're working involve communication, some form of communication, texting, social media, even emails. So this scenario here, you have two litigants, they bring in these emails. Just like the cell phone bill, same date and same time. One says, what time are you picking up Johnny for baseball? The other one says, you're a horrible piece of crap, I hope you die. Offer to the judge. Here you go, Your Honor. Same date, same time. How do we know who's telling the truth? It's actually kind of simple. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share with you the way to hack an email. All you have to do is hit forward or reply. If you hit forward or reply, you can then go back and you can actually change the original email as it was sent and then print it off and bring it to court. Here you go, Your Honor. Or bring it to the court, bring it to your office, bring it to the GAL, whoever it may be in your case. You have to be familiar with what's called email headers. Email headers basically is the metadata of an email. There's all kinds of cool information in an email header. And if some of you look at the screen right now, you're like, oh my goodness, what is all that? That's not what I signed up for. Relax, hold on. Inside an email header, there's a lot of cool information, including the IP address of both the sender and the receiver. If those IP addresses are exactly the same, the person sent the email to themselves. More importantly, if you look at the bottom of your screen, the bottom of all that gibberish, you'll see the actual email as it was sent unedited. So you'll see this is a request to reset a password for this particular email here. So this is what you'd want to do. Say, okay, you're bringing me 2 print off copies. Don't print it off to me. Forward me the email. Just forward me the email, and then we'll go from there. They're going to forward you the email. All you have to do is find the email header, and you'll see the actual email as it was originally written. Now, some of you are like, well, how do I find an email header? It's actually very simple. All you would have to do is just basically go to Google. Go to Google, type in email headers. They have an amazing tutorial on there that has every single email platform in the world listed. It tells you how to find an email header in every single email. A lot of times you just right-click on and left-click on properties, and there's your email header. But it tells you if you have Outlook, Yahoo, Hotmail, how to find an email header in all your emails. Great, great tool. When I put in Google, how do I stalk my partner, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my dog, whatever? One of the first problems, one of the first programs, the most popular programs we see today in these situations is called spyware, better known as spouseware. And the reason why it's so popular and so well used is because I get a lot of information for a very little amount of money. I basically can clone your cell phone, basically that means I can make an exact copy of your cell phone for $7. Every time you get a message or a phone call, I get to see that, or I can listen to your phone calls. I can activate your microphone and listen to your surroundings, and you don't even know it. My phone's here on my desk. I'm having a private confidential conversation with my clients. That guy now activated my microphone. He listened to our whole conversation. I can activate the camera and see my surroundings. Let's look at it. This is what I see. So I put this, I'm picking on Aaron today. I'm picking on Aaron. I'll put this on Aaron's phone, and this is what I see. I log in. Okay, I see who she's messaging, who she's texting the most, calling, website she's going to. Not that big of a deal, no harm. But on the left-hand side of the screen, I see all kinds of cool little doors I can go behind, including your GPS locations anywhere in real time you are in the world. I can even set up a geofence. Let's say we're still in a home together, the family violence case, or it's just a divorce case that we can't afford to move out yet. I'll set up a geofence. Today, I'm going to allow you to go to work. That's right, I'm going to allow you to go to work. It's all about power and control, right? So I'm going to set a geofence. You can only go from our house to your office and back, nowhere else. If you turn and go somewhere you're not supposed to be, it's going to notify me that you're not where you're supposed to be. And that's when abuse and lethality escalates and goes up. Here's all your text messages. I don't get the phone number you're texting. I get the actual message, photographs, whatever's being sent. Here's all your calendar events. I see you're meeting with your attorney, meeting with the guardian ad litem, the mediator, parenting coordinator, law enforcement officer. You're doing a law enforcement interview. Oh my goodness, I get to see that. Here's all your photographs and videos. Here's all your social media, including that elusive Snapchat that supposedly deletes in 10 seconds. We'll talk about that in just a second. Hold that thought. But I get to see all of that. I get to see all your snaps, and they don't delete and they don't hide. Here's all your browser history. You're looking for a new job, a new apartment, bus tickets, plane tickets. Oh my gosh, he's fixing to leave me. Again, that's when abuse escalates. Here's all your email communications, almost like a keylogger. Everything that you type and send, I get to see that. Communicating back and forth with your attorney or with anybody else in your case, I get to read. What can be done? What can we do? We quasi answered the Bluetooth bluejacking dilemma, but what can we do with spyware? Again, we take our phones everywhere. We take our phones to the bathroom. How can we be private? How can we have a private, confidential conversation with our clients and know that we're being safe? What can we do to be, to discover this even happens? So January of this year, January 2022, Apple came out with an iOS 14 update. Part of this update, we started getting these little indicator lights, these little dots in the top right-hand corner of our screens. They did a horrible job in telling people, consumers, what they actually were. They just basically appeared out of nowhere. We're like, what are these dots doing? What's this mean on my phone now? Well, the orange dot means that your microphone's been activated. Now, don't panic if you see an orange light, because you may be on the phone. You may be on an AirPods, look at your phone or speakerphone, and the orange light's on it. Oh my gosh, somebody's listening to me. Yeah, they're on the phone with you. It's supposed to work that way. But if we're sitting here, I'm just going to click my phone and check the time, and my orange light's on. I'm not on the phone, but somebody may be listening to my conversation. The green dot means that your camera's been activated. Again, if I'm sitting here just looking at my phone, my green dot's on, I'm not taking a selfie, but somebody's taking a picture of me or somebody's looking at my surroundings. Pay attention to this when you're actually surfing the internet on your phone. See, these lights actually pop up. Did you know that a lot of websites today actually take your photograph when you log into them, especially financial transactions? So when you hit the buy now button, they're going to take your photograph, so you can't come back later and say, that wasn't me. My credit card was stolen. I was hacked. I didn't want that. Because they're losing money that way. And some of you are like, okay, no more Amazon in the tub. You get it, it's scary stuff. But they take your photographs when you log into them. Now, let's just say you haven't been paying attention. I've been talking this whole time, but I just want to know if something's been activated. You can simply just pull it down from the top to show you if your camera or your microphone's been recently activated. Great, cool. But this is not what we asked for. I may have taken a selfie. I may have been on the phone. So of course they're going to be activated. We're hoping, and we've asked for, and been told that later this year, this is now going to tell us what program activated my camera, what program activated my microphone. Was it spyware? Was it Facebook? Was it something else? I want to know what program activated it. So then I know what kind of settings I need to change on my phone to protect myself and my privacy and my information. For those of you or your clients that have Android phones, no worries. You can actually go to the Play Store and you can download what's called Access Dots, and does the same exact thing for an Android phone that we have on iOS phones or Apple phones as well. So again, how do we have a private confidential conversation with our clients and know that we can be safe and know it's being private? Airplane mode. Airplane mode is your friend. So we kind of talked about this a little bit with turning your phone off. So you can't just simply turn your phone off. Your phone is still actually on. It's running in the background. When you turn your phone in airplane mode, it turns off every single antenna on your phone. Yes, you can turn back on your Wi-Fi, you can turn on your Bluetooth, but as a whole, it turns off every single antenna on your phone. Every time I do an interview with somebody, whether it be a criminal or civil interview, I start the same exact way. What you're about to tell me is very important, and I want to stay between you and I. I'm going to go put my phone in airplane mode, and I ask you to do the same thing. I don't even want Siri to be able to hear us. I've never been told no. We're not going to tell our clients to leave them outside, leave them in the car, because that cell phone may be their only sense of security. This is their blankie, their passy, their whoopee. But by putting it in airplane mode, we know that an offending party is not going to be able to listen to and monitor our communications. If your client has to meet with law enforcement, for example, it's a family violence case and they had a law enforcement interview today, we suspect there might be spyware on her phone, so we don't want her to take her phone to the interview because the bad guy's going to know she's talking to law enforcement. So how can we do both? Meet your client at a restaurant or public place. Let's just say Subway. Subways are everywhere. Meet your client at Subway. When you get to Subway, put your phone in airplane mode. Take your client to law enforcement, do the interview, and then come back to the very same Subway and turn off airplane mode. So the bad guy, the offender, monitoring and looking, you never left Subway. That's going to keep your clients and these litigants safe in these contentious situations. For those of you who are adventurous, you want to go mountain climbing, you want to go offshore fishing, you want to go somewhere where your cell phone is not going to work anyway, but we want to have it for emergencies in case. Before you throw your cell phone in a backpack somewhere, a duffel bag, put your phone in airplane mode first and then turn it off, or just leave it on, but just turn it off. Your battery life will last up to a year. You won't risk the chance of losing battery life in the phone in case emergency does arrive. Just a quick tip. So spyware, how do we get this on somebody's phone? How do we know it's there and how do we get it off? Great questions. So when I get a case, again, just like we talked about with Bluetooth, unless they're standing right there in front of me, there's no possibility they can know this information. Okay, we looked at Bluetooth, there's no pairings on Bluetooth. possibly going to be spyware then. Very first thing I look at in a spyware case is that darn cell phone bill again, or cell phone account. And this time what you want to look at is the data usage. Go back 2 or 3 months prior to, and then look at the data usage today. If there's spyware on your phone or your device, the data is going to almost double. It needs a lot more data. And the reason why is because every time you send me a message, it sends a duplicate message to the bad guy, twice as much data. Have the conversation about battery life. Does your battery need to be charged more often? Well, yeah, it used to last all day. Now by lunchtime, I got to plug my phone in and charge it again. Well, it's working twice as hard. We've all been on a really long phone call where afterwards your phone's kind of warm to touch, afterwards kind of hot. Well, if I pick up my phone off the desk and my phone's warm to touch and hot, I haven't been on it, but somebody may have been. My microphone may have been turned on, or someone's simply going through my programs or my photographs or my text messages on my phone. Last thing we've identified is what's called static on the line. It's just like static. We've all heard static before. But this happens every time that you're on the phone, and usually within a minute of making or receiving a phone call. What this is that when you make or receive a phone call, it notifies the bad guy that you're on the phone. Well, the bad guy can then hit a button and join your phone call and listen to and monitor your phone conversation. This happens on FaceTime, Skype, as well as a phone call. At the time they join, you can hear that static. How do we get this on somebody's phone? Well, there's 4 ways. Believe it or not, these programs, when we just saw there's called MobiSpy, they actually have scenarios on their websites on how to install this on your target's phone. And one of them, ironically, deals with family law. It says that next time you go pick up the little giant for parenting time, act like you have to use the restroom. As you walk through the house, pick the phone off the kitchen counter and go into the bathroom. She's got a password on her phone, but don't worry. You can still swipe up from the bottom and make an emergency phone call. There's 3 things we can do in an emergency phone call. 1, we can do an ICE in case of emergency. So if you type in the word ICE before your loved one's name, I can type in ICE in emergency contacts, and I can see who your emergency contact is and I can call them. I can call 911. It's an emergency phone call. The vulnerability or the hack or the back door is I can call a toll-free number. So I go in the bathroom, I swipe up, I call a toll-free number, I put in the PIN number that you sold me. Within 15 seconds, this program is downloaded to your phone or your device. You'll never know it's there. No app, no icon, you're not gonna see anything on your phone. Nope, she hates my guts. She's never gonna let me inside the house. She'll tell me to pee in the bush. How else can I do it? Well, earlier we talked about Bluetooth. If I get within 25 feet of you or potentially 28 miles, and I can access your Bluetooth through 0001234, I may be able to remotely install this to your device. No, she has Steve's class. She has Bluetooth turned off. She knows that game. I can't do that. How else can I do it? There's 2 more ways. One very common way, one very creepy way. The most common way today is through the cloud, because we all have a cloud. Whether you have an iPhone or not, you have a cloud. Let's talk about the iCloud. We all know about them. So my MacBook, my iPad, and my iPhone are all connected to my iCloud. What better way to get information off somebody than all their devices rather than just one? Why limit yourself? Clouds are very easily hacked because, again, social engineering. We're all creatures of habit. Most people today use dictionary-style words as your password. I guarantee you, in a group this big, somebody on here's password is password. If not, multiple people's password is password. If you use a dictionary-style word for your password, I can crack your password in under 4 minutes. That's no special skills I have. Anybody on here can do the same exact thing. All you have to do is go to Google, type in free password cracker. The very first one that always pops up is a dictionary cracker. It takes the dictionary and runs it backwards and forwards until it unlocks your password. Say it's banana. I got your password now. A child's name, whatever it may be. That's why your security professionals, IT professionals tell you uppercase, lowercase, special characters, numbers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, sometimes it's very difficult to do, especially when you're working with your clients and they're sitting across from you, they're already emotional, things are happening, and now you're like, well, we got to come up with a password for your accounts. They're like, oh my gosh, it's one more thing. No, it's not that hard. Think of a sentence, a Bible verse, song lyrics. Use the first letter, so capitalize the first letter, I drive a black truck. Capitalize the first letter, use the first letter, every word in that sentence, whatever your punctuation mark is, that's your special character. Mash it together, it will never resemble a dictionary word. They're very easy to remember as you type them in. I drive a black truck. I met with my attorney on Thursday. If it's something like a financial, like a bank account, requires a number, use the date. I met with my attorney on 1111, whatever it may be. That's an easy way to come up with a password very quickly in these type of settings. And they're not going to be a password that can be hacked very easily. We've all heard from our friends, sorry, my Facebook was hacked. Yeah, because banana was your password. Don't do that. How can we get it off? Oh, let me back up. Come on. The fourth way, the creepy way. So there's only 4 companies I know of to date that can actually do this. And it costs a lot more than $7. You use about $100, $120 per account, but it's the cost of doing business. How bad do you want the information? It's called frequency pairing. And this is the way it works. I install the program on my phone. I then call you. I keep you on the phone for 4 minutes. The program then will transfer from my phone to your phone via phone call. How many people do you talk to every single day? Potential clients possibly, or even co-parties or somebody else involved in the case. Think about those telemarketers that call you trying to sell you a product. They're just trying to keep you on the phone. They know you're not going to buy anything, but they may be trying to remotely install a product to your device. We didn't talk about it yet in this presentation, but how many of you actually have an antivirus program, an anti-malware program installed on your cell phone? One that you went out and actually purposely downloaded to your phone. Not the, oh, Apple doesn't get viruses. No, one that you purposely went and did. It's very important. If you have an antivirus program on your phone, I cannot remotely install softwares like this to your device. This is one of them that I use personally. And they're free. This one here is free. You don't need to buy anything. No special bells and whistles. Use the free app. This is called Avast, A-V-A-S-T. At the beginning of this year, they came up with a really cool tool for spyware. Before, it was very difficult to remove spyware from your clients' phones. Now with this, it's very simple. All you got to do is download this program. It will scan your client's phone or your phone, see if there's spyware on there, and then it will actually identify it, screenshot that, and then it'll remove it so we can actually they know we're going to be safe on our phones and devices. If you go get a brand new cell phone, doesn't matter. This program's going to automatically go to your new cell phone. So that's why you want to be able to identify and remove it rather than allow it to jump from phone to phone. Great tools, but they're being used in harmful ways. Social media. So social media by itself is a full day class. We don't have time to do that today, but we'll give you kind of the highlights. We'll talk about a little about social media and family law. So today there's over 500 known social media platforms out there. We hear about the same ones over and over again, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, the LinkedIns. But where are the offenders at? Where are the bad guys at? Where are the harmful things happening? What do we need to pay attention to as professionals, and especially as parents? This is a handful. This is a handful of ones I'll fit on a slide. TikTok. TikTok is it's a 4-hour conversation by itself. Horrible platform for many different purposes. But like Fortnite, a video game. I have a no contact order. I can't talk to my child or my family. But what's to prevent me from going to a video game and talking to my child through the video game? I know he gets on Fortnite every afternoon he gets home from school. I can talk to my child outside the court's purview. Yubu, parents, please pay special attention to this, because believe it or not, there are TikTok videos telling our kids to go to Yubu. What is Yubu? Well, when we talk about online dating, there's a platform known as Tinder. Tinder was a traditional dating app to find love. People got married off Tinder. Today, Tinder is a hookup app. It's a booty call app. It's what it is. It's what it's known for. Yubu is Tinder for teens. It is a hookup app for teenagers 13 to 17. Yubu used to be called Yellow, and they had to shut down and rebrand themselves as Yubu because when Yellow first came up, the very first 3 months of operating, we identified over 9,000 sexual offenders and predators on the platform alone. There's no way to age and verify anybody online. My ugly mug used to be a 13-year-old girl online. So now, again, there's TikTok videos telling our kids to go to places like this to make new friends. Or go to Omegle. Omegle is a video platform where you video chat with strangers from around the world. I can tell you it's used for very adult purposes. But let's talk about Snapchat. The reason I want to talk about Snapchat is because we see Snapchat a lot in family law. in family violence cases for the manipulation piece of Snapchat. So Snapchat did a great marketing ploy, or they have the whole world convinced that if I send you a snap is a photograph. If I send you a snap or a photo, I can set a timer on that photograph for it to delete in up to 10 seconds. So say I take a picture of a gun. I said to you, I'm going to kill you if I don't get custody of the kids. I'm going to kill you if you'll drop charges against me. By the time they open that, the timer set 10 seconds. If they did a screenshot of that, it's going to let the bad guy know that they did a screenshot. And they don't want to do that because, again, abuse may escalate. I don't want to do that. So how can we actually know that these images are going to be there or not be there? Snapchat is not an auto-delete program. It's false marketing is all it is. It's an auto-hide program. The image simply hides on your phone after 10 seconds. They're still there. How can our clients gather these intimidation-type threats or harms to these photographs without them deleting, without the person knowing they're keeping them? What you need to be aware of is every social media platform out there today, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they all have what's called companion programs. This is the top 7 for Snapchat. So this is the way it works. Take Casper, for example. Every time you send me a message or a snap through Snapchat, that photograph is not going to hide in 10 seconds. It's actually going to save that image to my phone's gallery that I can then go do whatever I want to do with that at a later date. And you're not going to get a message back saying I kept that. So it's a great way to gather evidence if they're sending your clients intimidating type, those guns, those threats, whatever it may be, in order to manipulate the outcome in the case. However, you also have to be aware of, because of this false sense of security, Snapchat's also used for very adult purposes, sending intimate images back and forth, these nudes, if you will. Students and adults alike, kids and adults alike, use this for adult purposes. So if I have Casper on my phone and you're sending me these snaps of your breasts or your genitals, whatever it may be, I'm actually keeping those without you knowing. So now that we're going through a contentious situation, I'm now going to sextort you. I'm going to threaten revenge porn or non-consensual pornography. I'm going to share these intimate images with your neighbors, coworker, family, and friends if I don't get custody of the kids or the dog or the boat or whatever I'm looking in this case. So they can be used 2 or 4. So it's good for gathering evidence to just know that these images could be out there being saved from this type of device as well. What do I see? When I say they're still there, what do I mean by that? So if I do a forensic review of Snapchat, forensic review basically means I'm looking at the directory files of the phone. This is what makes Snapchat work. If you look at the 4th folder down there, it says received image snaps. That's where these snaps and pictures go to hide. They're still there. They're in that folder. If I know how to access that folder, I can recover all those images. Remember, we talked about in the beginning with discovery and with this FIFO memory, first in, first out. This be mindful. If there's a lot of memory, I get a lot of images. There's a small amount of memory, not so much. But through legal process, if I know how to do it, I can get up to 9 months worth of snaps from Snapchat themselves. You have to send a preservation letter most of the time to make sure they preserve that information and doesn't get accidentally deleted. They play games a lot. But just know that we can recover these if we need to in these cases. Locations. Every cell phone manufacturer for 2006 has 2 GPS chips built into it. One's for emergency services like 911. One is for social media, Google Maps, fun stuff like that. One can be turned off, one cannot. There are 2 types of GPS. There's active and there's passive. Active shows me where you are. Passive shows me where you've been. Most stalkers today, or most couples today, they're trying to track someone's whereabouts. Very rarely, unless they're just not very smart, very rarely will they use an active GPS. And the reason why is because if that active GPS is recovered, I can very easily find out who it belongs to, because that active GPS has to transmit the information somewhere. So I get IP information, I get financial data, I can find out very easily who's stalking you, who's tracking you. So when you go to these websites like Reddit or different YouTube videos, they tell people don't use active GPS, use a passive GPS, which means I go put this little device on your vehicle, I come back at 4 o'clock in the morning to retrieve that, I go home and I download it. I see where you went today or this week. Well, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to go to your house 4 o'clock in the morning. I might get caught. They might think I'm a vehicle burglar or something. So we're seeing a shift from GPS. The GPS, again, is satellite in the sky. We're seeing a shift from GPS to what's called crowdsourcing technology. Earlier, we had a question about Apple AirTags. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Tiles, AirTags. And now there's many, many more knockoff versions you can buy, like Amazon or eBay or places like that. They're not Apple AirTags or Tiles, but they work the same exact way. This works off of the crowd. No GPS, no satellite in the sky. It works off of my phone, my Wi-Fi, and my Bluetooth, and yours, and his, and theirs, and everybody else's. We can tell a range of mine and picks up yours. Find your keys, find your lost dog, find your partner, a number of things. We see articles after articles of people finding these devices, AirTags, or these tiles in their purses, in their cars, little gas door inside their vehicle, a number of places. One of the things that we didn't really, I guess, pay attention to or didn't think about was the possibility of a sexual assault coming from these tags. We thought more just, I guess, linear as I'm just tracking, just following somebody to know what they're actually doing. It wasn't until this young lady went viral. So when I say a video goes viral, it means that it's on every social media platform out there. It's on TikTok, Reels. I mean, it's everywhere. It's on the news. It's on Good Morning America. I mean, it's everywhere. Well, we know that bad guys actually have social media and watch the news too. So they get these great ideas after seeing stuff like this. Because in fact, after this video went viral, we had a huge influx of cases where both men and women were reporting events very similar to this. So what happened in this case is she went after work, she went for a happy hour with some of her coworkers, one or two drinks just for an hour or two after work one day. When she got home, and she was actually clearing out her purse for the next day, there was there was a tile inside her purse. Nobody talked to her inside the bar. Nobody approached her. Nobody came up to her. So what they're assuming is somebody's kind of walked behind her and dropped this tile inside her purse. She's there at the bar drinking, so she may go to another bar and drink some more, or she may, who knows where she's going to go. But now, if she's had a few drinks, I can now follow her to her next location or possibly home to do that home invasion or sexual assault or whatever I want to do. Again, when this went viral, several cases actually came forward and people were like, wow, I need to pay attention to that as well. So Apple, when this went viral, they stepped up. They said, you know what? You're right. We need some type of an anti-stalking type feature, anti-stalking measures for these devices. I can track you. I can backtrack who you are through an Apple AirTag because there's serial numbers or different things that I can backtrack. It's not as easy as GPS, but I can still backtrack you. But we want to keep you safe so we don't have to do that. So what this means is if you have an iOS phone, if you have an Apple phone, and I put an Apple AirTag near you, you're going to get a notification on your phone within 2 hours that says that AirTag is following you or near your location. Well, that's 2 hours. A lot can happen in 2 hours. One of the most inconspicuous things or innocuous things in family violence cases, or even these like relationships, are AirPods. I'm not going to put a tracker or an AirTag in your purse because you know that's a tracker. I can put my AirPods in your purse, like, oh, I'm sorry, they must have fell inside your purse. I can track you with my AirPods as well, just like an Apple AirTag. We see there's a lot of these type of cases where people just conveniently forget their AirPods in the purse or in the pocket of a coat. They're just AirPods. Or they'll say, hey, take these to work with you today so you can listen to the news. I'm tracking you the whole time through your AirPods. But let's just say that you don't have an Apple phone, you have an Android phone. I'm a very tech-savvy creeper. I'm sitting in the back of the bar, and I'm seeing that the young lady at the bar now has an Android phone. I know that Apple does not talk to Android, so she's not going to get that message popping up saying, hey, this AirTag is following you. So Apple says, you know what, you're right. So what we're going to do now is after 72 hours, the tag is going to emit an audible tone. It's going to basically beep and say, hey, here I am. Well, what if that tag is under a car or a coat pocket or a closet, or you're in a noisy environment which you don't hear that? But still, it's 72 hours. I said a lot can happen in 2 hours. Imagine what can happen in 72 hours. Let's talk about a tile. A tile is not Apple or Android. So how do we know if a tile's around you? How do we get notifications? If your clients, I know most of you on this call, your clients come to them and says, you know what, he's following me. He's at the park, he's at the Walmart, he's at the mall, shows up everywhere I am. Okay, cool. Be aware, know that there's several apps in the App Store that allow you to proactively download these type of tracker detection type programs. This one right here is for Android. This will show you a traditional GPS, an AirTag, or a tile. Recently, when I say recently, in the last couple of days, tile has actually helped all of us out. It's so new, I don't even have a slide for it yet. Tile, if you go to download the Tile app, you don't have to have a Tile device. Download the Tile app to your phone. It has a new feature called Scan and Search. Works off of a 25-foot radius like Bluetooth. So you download to your phone, you hit Scan and Search. It's going to search a 25-foot radius around you to see if there's any trackers around your person. So if you're like an Airbnb and you want to make sure there's no tracker, hidden devices inside there, it may be a good option. Or if you want to just scan your vehicle, scan your office, it may be a good option for you. And that, again, the Tile app will do that for you in Scan and Search. Moving on to you. How does this affect you? Well, at the end of the day, not everybody's happy with you in court or in that case. You took my kids from me. You caused me this hellacious fine. I lost my house, whatever it may be. Imagine if I was upset with you, my attorney, my guardian ad litem, the judge, it doesn't matter who. Imagine I could walk out to my car in a matter of seconds, find out who your loved ones are, who your kids are, where your kids go to school, where your spouse works, a map to your house. You took my kids, I'm going to take your kids. Watch the news. There's a lot of weird stuff and bad stuff happening every single day. It's a lawless society right now, and I don't understand why. And we hear this new thing in the media, especially after the whole Supreme Court, the Roe versus Wade, the abortion thing. It's called doxing, where there's articles that people are talking about, they're doxing these Supreme Court justices. Well, I can tell you this has moved on from the Supreme Court down to local judges and local attorneys, and even local clerks. If your name is associated with that filing, I now know who you are. So I may be able to dox you and put out your personal information online for people to be able to come at you like you came at me. They blame the Gen Z generation for doing this, but it's so easy to do. Many people are actually getting access to this. I can simply go online and go to Reddit or go to Google and type in, how do I find my attorney's home address? And you'll be amazed the information is there and the resources. What is doxing? Talk about what is doxing. So doxing is basically gathering all your personal information and putting it online with intent to commit shame or cause harm to you. Your address, any kind of affiliation you are, Rotary Club, what church you go to, your spouse, your loved one, everything about you I put online. So the question comes up, well, is this legal? Can we actually do this? Well, it's not, at this point, it's not illegal. So this is what they're saying, is that if this is publicly sourced information, it's perfectly legal for me to do this. The Gen Zers or the different younger generations think that everybody has the right to know about everybody, all this information about everybody. So that's why they put it out there. But if this is something that is not publicly sourced, meaning this is between you and your assistant, nobody else knows except for two people, but somehow it's leaked out there. I have a hidden microphone, hidden camera, whatever, that's a different conversation. But publicly sourced information, where do we get that from? How do I cause harm to you? I'm an elected official, or I'm a protected class, like a judge, where I can't go to the property appraiser's office and find out your address. So how are they getting the information? It's called data mining. So we've all been told since we were this big that nothing's for free. Even like in the co-parenting world, these free apps and free programs, nothing's for free. They are $1 million companies that have employees that keep the lights on. How are they free? Because you are the product. They are taking your personal information, including your locations and your contacts, and they're selling them to these companies and parties and putting you out there and making you vulnerable. Remember, privacy is safety. Places like property tax records. I can find out your address, find out how much you pay for your house, square footage, whatever. You go to organization websites like the PTA, Rotary Club, and find out information about you possibly. The e-courts. We talked about dockets and all those public filings we can see out there. What about this? What about, I got an oil change in my car. I got some new tires on my car. I got a discount card from the grocery store. All these places, gym membership, job applications, all your information is collected and sold to third-party companies. Nothing's for free. That 20% discount you get at the grocery store, someone's paying for that. These companies are buying your data and put it out there to be able to target market you or to be able to dox you and put your information out there personally. This is what it looks like. This is a handful of websites out there that you can go to, but this is an example, Spokio. So you go to Spokio, I get a map to your house, I get your address, I get who lives in the house with you, your mean income, a number of cool things. I go like Family Tree now, and not only did I find out your personal information, I found out all your loved ones, your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, mom, dad, grandparents. All I do is click on their name and it gives me their personal information. There are hundreds and hundreds of websites out there that allow you to do this. So how do we know if we can be easily doxxed? Is our perfect personal information out there? I don't know. Well, how can we do that? First thing I want you to do is Google yourself. I know we've all done this in the past, but this time when you do that, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to put quotes around your first and last name. If this is called a Boolean search, that's the only geek speak you're going to get today, the only nerdy term you're going to get, a Boolean search. If I simply put in John Smith, Ohio, I'm going to get all the Johns, all the Smiths, and all of Ohio. I'm going to have 5,000 Google pages. I want to know just information about me. So if I put in quotes around my name, it's going to find just me in Ohio or just you in California. If you have a very common name like John Smith, put the city and state you live in. That way it's going to delineate down to only 2 or 3 pages of Google. Page 1 may be all your court briefings or filings or things you've done, but page 2 or 3 will be like whitepages.com, fast people search, voter records, all kinds of different websites you click on, and there's your personal information. I actually teach a class, in-person class, unfortunately, an in-person class where you bring your laptop, bring your computer to class, in about 20 minutes, I show you your whole life. And at the end of the class, we remove you, we take you offline so that your personal information is safe at that point in time. You can do the same thing that I do on a bigger scale, but it's time consuming do we actually do that. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. We can talk about that. Next thing you do is go to a reverse image search. Well, what does that mean? Most of us have a picture of ourselves on our desktop. If you open up Google Images, not Google, Google Images, and you drag and drop a picture of yourself into the search bar, that's free facial recognition software. It searches the whole internet for you, for your picture. You may have had a photograph taken of you at a conference somewhere and you didn't know it was out there, but this will help find and identify those pictures of you. Audit your social media profiles. Look at your privacy settings. Make sure all your stuff is actually private. We hear about places like Target and Home Depot being hacked, credit card information, or say, oh, identity theft, blah, blah, blah. How do you know if we've been part of that hack or that breach? There's a website called Have I Been Pawned? Pawned is without the A, P-W-N-E-D. You put in your information, it'll tell you if your personal information has been exposed during this breach. If it has, you see your email address up there, quickly change your passwords to your email address. Also, on your meet the staff, meet our partners, meet whoever websites and pictures, make sure your bios or CVs and things that are on there don't disclose too much personal information. I have 2 kids that go to Stony Park Elementary. Well, you just told the whole world where to find your kids. Don't do that. It's kind of like the first day of school pictures. We all do them. We all take them. We put them online. But the name of the school is on their shirt. So now you give the whole world a picture of your child and where they go to school. I can find out if I need to, if I want to cause harm to you. What else can we do during these types of situations? So what's a takeaway we can take away from today's webinar? First one is protect your IP addresses by using a VPN. We talked about this. We talked about Starbucks and the person sitting in the corner working on their computer. So a VPN is a virtual private network. So anytime that you're on public Wi-Fi, McDonald's, Starbucks, the hotel, wherever's public Wi-Fi. Imagine a tunnel. Picture this big tunnel, if you will. And all this data in this tunnel is flowing back and forth. That tunnel is public Wi-Fi. If you use a VPN, a virtual private network on that public Wi-Fi, you can still use Starbucks, but by using a VPN on that, you become a coffee stirrer. It's in straw, it's encapsulated straw inside that tunnel. And nobody can then see your activities. It's encrypted both ways, so I can't see what your activities online. In fact, I can't see that you're online. Your IP address, everything is hidden and masked. There are several free VPNs in your app store. I will tell you that the free ones tend to slow down your connection, but the ones you pay for are not very expensive. There's several ones out there. There's TunnelBear, NordVPN, private internet access. There's several VPNs out there that I think actually improve. The one I use is called private internet access. I pay $30 a year, and it goes for 15 devices. So all my information, my kids' information is all safe and secure when they're online. So I think mine actually speeds up my connection. Go figure. Also, we talked about passwords. Use those strong passwords. Don't use banana. Don't use password. Uppercase, lowercase, that's great. Or a sentence, a Bible verse, song lyrics, something that you can easily remember as you type in. Very, very simple. Create separate email accounts for different things. You don't want your library card to be the same email address and account information as your bank. And the reason why is because the library does not have very good security, not as good as your bank does. So if I get a breach to the library and I get access to your email address and your password, I then can go to your bank and use the same exact account. So they tell you to have separate accounts for non-important things versus important things. Review and maximize your privacy. We talked about that. Look at your social media. Make sure you go to your profile page, and next to your name will be a little wheel. Click on that. It says, see what the world sees about me. See what's private, what's not. And that way you know. Your privacy settings might be turned on, but mine aren't. I tagged you in a photograph, so now you're exposed. Multi-factor authentication. Every website and account today offers multi-factor, what's called two-factor authentication. Again, this is a social engineering conversation. Why I say that is because when you put in a password to a computer, it pops up and says, hey, do you want to save this password? Your phone as well. Most people say yes, especially the older generations. Well, if I get remote access through a phishing email, through that DocuSign email I talked about earlier, to your network or to your computer, and you saved your passwords on there, I can simply go to your history, go to your bank account, log in, I can transfer all your funds, you'll never know I'm doing it. By having multi-factor authentication on your phone or your device or your account, you're going to then get a text message saying, hey, here's the code you need to sign into this account. Keeps you safe. If you get a code pop up and you didn't ask for it, change your password. Be aware of this phishing emails. Remember, click on the person's name. If there's a link in it, click on the person's name. See what email address is hiding underneath that person's name. It may be a loved one, but they're basically getting access to your contacts and they're using people's names that you would click on rather than the real information. Google Alerts. Google Alerts are awesome. You can put in your name, the name of your law firm, name of your courthouse. And anytime anybody looks up information on you or reports information on you, like a negative review, whatever, it's going to notify you that this has been done. You can set this up in Westlaw. You can set it up in Lexis. There's different companies that allow you to be able to set up alerts to notify people who are looking at you and your information. Remember, doxing is real. Get comfortable with technology. You're going to hear some really, really weird stuff. He's got cheese pizza in the back bedroom. Well, big deal. I had cheese pizza last night. What's cheese pizza? Why are they so concerned about cheese pizza? Ask the question. Cheese pizza is child pornography. Anything with CP in it, Captain Picard, cheese pizza. He's got a pineapple. He's got a raspberry pie. Again, they don't call hacker tools. They call them stuff like pineapples and raspberry pies. So if they're concerned, please be concerned too. This is a tip sheet that all of you should have in your materials. If you have not, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to give it to you. This is kind of discusses a lot we talked about today. So when you do that intake, you're talking to your clients, you can go through and make sure that their passwords, their security questions, things have been changed, or things have been updated like we talked about here today. So it's a great little tutorial, if you or review, if you will. This here's my personal information. As well as a colleague there in your area named Kevin Mooney. He does a lot of classes for like ESI information as well. OFW is a great company that cares about educating the legal community. They have a great product, but they also care about educating all of you. If you have any questions about OFW and the why, for, and against, think about messaging your clients, the spoofing, the changing the data. And these type of programs, everything is single recorded. And you as a practitioner, you get free access to free account to be able to monitor what they're doing. In cases of domestic violence and DV, all survivors get free accounts. There's no fee to it at all. But we also have a fee waiver for those who can't afford the product. Do we have any questions? I know I ended early, but I ended early on purpose because I figured there'd be a lot of questions. Let's see what we got here. We go to the Q&A. So I'm gonna start. So I did that one. Okay. So we did that one as well. So how do you scan client's phone for an app that doesn't appear anywhere on the phone and is presumably untraceable? So this is where those antivirus programs come into play. You know, Avira, Avast, McAfee, Norton, there are several antivirus programs out there. But what you want to do when you run an antivirus program on a computer or on a cell phone is you want to be able to disconnect the data connection. So you want to make sure it's not connected to the internet. You turn off the Wi-Fi, turn off the data, make sure that they can't actually get in the Wi-Fi. Because what happens with the virus these programs is they've been designed to, as you start removing them, if you're still connected to the internet, they will basically reinstall as you remove them. So you're constantly chasing your tail. But these programs you can actually download and scan your device, like we talked about with spyware, and see if these type of harmful programs are on there, and then you can then remove them. Great questions. I had many parents with whom I work as a parenting plan coordinator with use Fortnite to communicate with their kids as a way to circumvent their co-parenting knowing. Best way to address this. Exactly right. We talked about that with the social media. This happens quite a bit, especially with out-of-court testimony, no contact orders, a number of things. Unfortunately, there's no real way to address it because we're not going to tell our kids. We're already going through a contentious divorce, and the kids may or may not be happy with the situation. Last thing I want to do is say, hey, stay offline. The best thing you can do is go through your kids' profiles and set up who they can actually play with. So I can set up, just like Facebook, my friends list, so I can make sure that dad or mom's name is not on that list, or they're only private to just their friends. Okay, you can play Fortnite, you can play, whatever, but you only play with these 5 individuals, these 10 individuals. You turn off the outward exposure to the whole world. So that's probably the best way to do that. The other part is just, having the conversation. Look, you're not supposed to be talking to dad or mom. Please try not to do this, or just simply put it in the living room where you can actually listen to the conversations. No more headsets. I want to listen to the game. That way you'll know. How do you feel about Signal? Signal is great. And I actually thought it was going to be in this presentation, so I apologize I took it out. So Signal, for those of you not aware, is a texting type program. So especially in family violence cases, we used to recommend a program called WhatsApp. WhatsApp, in fact, there's a lot of TV commercials on right now and radio commercials about, hey, use WhatsApp. It's encrypted both ways. Well, the reason why there's TV commercials and stuff out there now is because it was recently purchased by Facebook, by Meta. Well, they told you in their actual release that because they now own it, they're going to collect and sell your personal information. They actually spell it out and tell you in an actual briefing. I apologize, I don't have the slide pulled up right now, but it's actually in the briefing, including your locations. Well, in a family violence situation, privacy is safety. I don't want to Spokio or all these websites get a hold of my address. I'm at my sister's house, my mom's house, a confidential DV center. So we kind of shifted away from WhatsApp in recent times to Signal. Signal is an app I've used for many, many years. The law enforcement community's used it. Government officials have used it. People that want to stay safe and private, military has used Signal. The reason why is because nothing is recorded on Signal. It's encrypted both ways, but nothing's recorded. You can do the baddest search warrant in the world. You send it to Signal and be like, can't help you. I have nothing. And they really don't. They store nothing. Through Signal, you can make phone calls, you can make video calls like a FaceTime, and text message through the actual program. This is the only caveat. This is only the bad part of Signal. We actually already addressed it once before, but we're going to talk about it again. When you download Signal, so let's just say Erin downloads Signal today. Erin's in my contact list. So now when she downloads Signal, it's going to pop up and says, hi, Erin's just now joined Signal. Now I can now message her. I know she's there. Well, if you're in a situation where your co-party, your co-litigant is on Signal and you now do this, or a family violence situation, why you want this hidden app? Why you want a private app? Are you cheating on me? Who are you talking to? So you don't want them to know that you're actually on there. That's where that Google Voice program we talked about comes very, very key. When you sign up for a Signal, sign up with that Google Voice number, not your actual phone number, and you still use Signal and stay safe, and nobody knows you're on Signal. It's a bogus phone number. So yeah, Signal is great, good program. It's very safe, does not record anything. You can have confidential conversations and it goes away. You also set up a timer to actually will auto delete itself as well. So a situation where You come home and your spouse grabs your phone, again, DV situation, they want to search your history, the message will automatically go away. So they find saying, no, there's no message there because it's automatically deleted. So what else we got? How do you deactivate or stop the tile AirTag pods from tracking an iPhone? So when you get that notification pops up, either through the scan search app through Tile or through just iOS, it's going to give you an option on there. It's going to say you can actually hit a button to that audible tone. You can find the location. So you looked everywhere for it, you can't find it, but it says it's there. So you can actually hit a button to turn on that tone. Also, you can actually hit disconnect and it will disconnect it from the same notification. So that's the only way I know how to do it right now. The Tile app's the same way. You can actually disconnect the communications and prevent them from tracking your particular device. AirTag or even a Tile, they also have batteries in them. You can actually take them apart and just take the batteries out. Something simple as that as well, if you find the device. Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do we have any other questions? I know we have like 5 minutes left in the chat.
Stephen, I think you missed Ron's question in which he said in prior versions of iOS, you could delete messages. Is there a way to discover that?
Yeah, and we did talk about that. So yes, any kind of message can be deleted off of your phone. So we talked about the fact that there's no program, there's no way that you or I can do that unless it's like an iOS backup. So you look at previous backups in the cloud, in the iCloud or in a different cloud that you have. It could be a Verizon cloud, it could be a Samsung cloud. In the cloud, your phone will back up to that if that has been turned on. Otherwise, you need an expert like myself or a private investigator, somebody with the software and tools to be able to go through your phone. All those messages are still there. I can recover every single one of your deleted text messages on your phone, your device at any given time. One day you got that phone. Other experts can as well. So just know that we can find them, but unfortunately, there's no real programs that you can do it or they can do it other than looking at backups inside the iCloud. There's some consumer grade products out there. I've never personally tested them that say they can recover text messages, but again, I've never tested those. The ones we have are not consumer grade by no means, but we can recover those. So if your case involves text messages or deleted text messages, contact me. We'll be happy to work with you on recovering those. So thank you for bringing that up again.
Stephen, thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation as always, and we really appreciate your time and knowledge. And I'm sure everyone has been changing their passwords and already implementing your great advice. So thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. Thanks again for having me, and thanks for the opportunity to come before everybody today. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.